Adhiraja. Ladies, Maitreya watch. Adhiraja. Maitreya Dhuvasya Chokala Putra Pitari Prasthite Vanam Sarvabhaumash Adhiraja. So, how's the sound quality? Can you guys hear well? Because I've been hearing all the sound system is a little funny when you go online. Is it okay now? You can hear well? You can hear me well now? Okay. Maitreya Vacha. The sage Maitreya said. So Vacha is just as exact English cognate word voice. It's like saying Maitreya voiced. Maitreya voiced. So Vacha is exactly voice or the vocal cord. All the words like voices, vocal, all this comes from the Vacha, Vakyas from Sanskrit. So there's all these cognate words. Okay. Where was it? Dhruvasya of Dhruva Maharaj. Cha also Utkala. Same, Utkala. Putra, son. Pitari, after the father. So there again cognate words. Pitari become Padre, Peter, father. It becomes paternal, patriarchs. All these words in English. Paternal, patriarchs, Peter, Padre, all these. They all come from that word, Pitari. Prasthite, departed. Okay, that's also in, but I won't bore you now, but that's exact cognate words from Sanskrit. I mean, in English, the prasthite. Vanam, for the forest. Sarvabhaumam, including all lands. Shriyam, opulence. Naichat, did not desire. Adhiraja, royal. So Raja and royal, same words. J and Y are interchangeable. You may know by now. Like Jesus, Yesu. J becomes Y. Like even so many Spanish words. The Ja is pronounced like Juanita. Like they actually write Juanita, but you actually pronounce Juanita. Like J and U are interchangeable. So this is all, like if you see a friend that's got a name that starts with J and you actually pronounce it with a Y or V, that's because that comes from Sanskrit. you might think, oh my God. Asanam, throne, Pitu, of the father. Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurulmitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Vande Nanda Vajastinam Padrenum Abhikshnasha Yasam Harikatod Geetam Punati Bhunatrayam. So we'll just repeat the translation together if you don't mind. The great sage Maitreya replied, my dear Vidura, when Maharaj Dhruva departed for the forest, his son Utkala did not desire to accept this opulent throne of his father, which was meant for the ruler of all the lands of this planet. So interesting. So we are in the chapter, I think the last chapter was Dhruva Maharaja going back to Godhead. Now we have come to the chapter where we are delineating and kind of illustrating all the the lineage, the names and the lineages of Dhruva's descendants. And you might wonder why. Like Bhagavatams, we are all, I mean, some, I don't like to use the word, but neophytes. Maybe I should say introductory people. So what happens is when you read numbers, when you read all these names, and when you hear by great Vaishnavas that every part of Bhagavatam is supposed to be the incarnation and the juiciest part of any other part of Bhagavatam. But when you hear just some list of names, just some names, right? So anybody have some familiarity with the Bible previously? A little familiarity. So there is Old Testament where you'll see Numbers and Deuteronomy. And there's a lot of names. And Deuteronomy like specifically dating them. So Numbers is all the numbers of the tribes and the names, how it starts from all the way from Noah and Abraham and all the way to the end, Jesus. So there's like, I'm not exaggerating, but we're talking something like more than 300 to 500 names of all the dynasties and the kings. Of course, in between gets lodged the original anointed king, Saul, and the David and Solomon. So why am I saying all this? It's a very, very standard way to do scriptures. Start with the Genesis, start with how the creatures were designed by Brahma with the help of Vishnu. And then we go through all the lineages of the dynasties and the names and the numbers and the Deuteronomies. It's just a very standard way to build any scripture. And you may say, why? Why bore us like this? Just tell us some stories. Like, tell us some, Rasika stories. Some rasa. Some, Gopi rasa. Some bhakti rasa. Some jnana rasa if you are jnanis. Nothing wrong with that. If you're, some rasa, some gopi bhav, some bhav, give us some anartha nivruti. What is this numbers and list of names? What are we going to do with that? What is it saying in Australia? What is that to do? What is that to do with me? Like, what does that to do? No, okay. Radhika Prasad, focus. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? You heard that phrase before? What it means is, what does that have to do with us now? That's what it means. It's a phrase. So you read all these numbers and all these names and hundreds. In 5th canto, you're going to see like hundreds and hundreds. Like this time. In 8th canto is like, oh my God, like just the names, and then who will become the Indra and who will become the 7 rishis and who will become the gurus and who will become 7 rishis and the Vyasadevas who will compile the Vedas. Like you're sitting there thinking, how is this any way equivalent to Gopi Geet, for example? Isn't that like the most vibrating, humbling bhakti rasa for us? Like, read some Gopi Geet for God's sake. Why are we doing these names? Listen to this carefully. There's actually no difference between Gopi Geet and this verse. Why does Radhika Prasad always have to talk so radically? What's his problem? I'll tell. Do you want me to explain why? You want me to convince you why? The reason is because when you see these extensive lineages, like now obviously this is going to go to Prithu Maharaj, and then we'll read and eventually we'll read Prithu Maharaj, and then we'll read Prachetas, and then we'll read Hamsaguhya prayers, and then we'll eventually start reading all the planetary systems, and then the 9 Varshas, and how the 9 Varshas will glorify Krishna in their own ways. What is happening here is this very, very scholarly and poetic presentation of how God keeps plugging himself into these dynasties. How Krishna with his various names, with his various nomenclatures, with his various articulations. You understand these words or too much? Too much English for one day? Nomenclature is just like like a plethora of names that God comes from. It's nomenclatures. Yeah? What else did I use? What funny words did I use? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So you have these nomenclatures, you have these names, and you have this archaeology, how God keeps plugging himself, lodging himself, time to time, articulating himself to the particular time, place, and circumstance. Now, Krishna is taking so much trouble. It's not just, of course it is his pastimes, it's his choice, it's his free will. But at the same time, the other side of the coin is that he's making sure he appeals to you. What's a God that doesn't appeal to you? That'll be a very boring God, isn't it? That's why he's Krishna, most appealing. The name is most appealing, most interesting, most attracting. So what you see when you read all these hundreds and hundreds, then you go into this Surya dynasty, and not just the historical. Sukadeva Goswami gives 33 generations of future, and you're going, God. And then 33 generations of Chandravamsha, and you're saying, la 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 la. If you don't see with the Jnana Chakshu Jnana Diloje, you understand? You read that. If you don't see with this Jnana Chakshu, with the Gopi Chakshu, what happens is, then it's like just nomenclatures, just lineages, where you start getting, okay, let's get over this, okay, how many names do we have? Okay, when are we going to get the next Rasika story for God? No. When you see how God takes the trouble, Krishna is taking the trouble to lodging himself in a way that appeals to you. What's a God that doesn't appeal to you? So boring. You want to hang around with a God who doesn't appeal? You know, you're sitting with God and you're thinking, okay, 8 o'clock cricket starts. Or I don't know, like, I think, yeah, or I don't know, some movie starts or some Mardi Gras starts. Okay. So I'm just throwing names, okay? But if you're sitting with God and you're thinking about, like, what's like Moana 2 or something, that's a very, very boring God, isn't it? But God is someone, you sit with him and you are consumed. You're consumed with his presence. Why? He's so, so cute. He's so, so appealing. He's so, so attractive. Not just for ladies, for men. Like, that's the reason Bhagavatam turns the tables around. You just start thinking about all these, the problems of this world, karma, krodha, sexual attractions, and this, the anger, and then the Bhagavatam turns the tables around. God is even appealing to male. You're like, okay, what am I going to do with this? I'm a male. How is a male God attracting to a male person? It turns the tables around like that. So this is what you learn when you read these extensive names. You carefully, because you read a scripture and you read a scripture. There is two different things. You read it with some criticality. What am I supposed to learn from this? What does that have to do with me now? A bit capitalistic, but it's okay. And when you see that he is trying to appeal to you, then it's a solace. It's a comfort, isn't it? A God that is willing to appeal to you and comfort you. Isn't that a solace? Isn't that like, it's not like that God who will eternally punish you because you were hanging around the Gentiles. You're hanging around the pagans. You're hanging around the Baal worshippers. You did not follow the right faith. You did not follow the right scripture. And you transgressed my people and you mixed with the Gentiles. And I'm going to burn you in hell forever. And when you just start recuperating, I'll wake you up and I'll burn you more. Turn the AC on for this God. Just, you should not turn the air conditioning. Just put some ice blocks in his, somewhere in his, overcoat or something. Just let him to chill. Ask him to chill a little bit. Now, is that the God you really want to hang around with? Now you have this here, who has like 9 varshas of the planet. Sarvabhaumam, I personally, as you can imagine, you already figured out, I'm a very, very boring nerd. I go into Sanskrit dictionaries and I go into all kinds of literatures. I think Sarvabhaumam is this whole planetary system. It's not just this planet Earth. The planetary system. When you see the picture of planetary systems on the NASA, and you see a disk kind of thing where this galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy which we are in, and the Andromeda, the closest, and whatever. Anyway, so you go to all these things, and I think Sarvabhauma is all these lands. Dhruva, because he was Manu's son, grandson, and Manu was the Pitari of the whole planetary system. So I think it's the whole planetary system. So you have all these 9 varshas, and then the 5th canto goes into detailing of each of these separate, the people in the Jambu Dvipa, the people in the Kaikeya Dvipa, the people in the Andhras and the Pulindas, and Krishna makes sure he has an appealing angle for each of these people. And that's his mercy. We don't need to look at Krishna. The good news is that God is not a fanatic. Hopefully that's a good news today. He's not a religious fanatic. Is that a good news? So that's what we learn. And then we see, what is that? The most famous Gopi Gita. Tava Kathamritam. Tapta Jivanam. Kavibhiritam. So Kavis are glorifying you everywhere. Kalmashapaham. Ye bhurida jana. These great people, everywhere, in all times and temporals, in all circumstances, they are regarding. And God is not just some figures trying to control. What did you do today? You ate onion garlic? You didn't check the flavor that was little. You went to Coles, and out of like 750 packets, you didn't pick the right packet. No, come on. No, of course we don't. I'm not asking you to go and like eat and like order onion and garlic in your menus every day. And I don't eat that. I try to completely avoid as much as I can. But I'm just saying, sometimes we just generate this God of rules and regulations. No, God is looking for the rose, the lotus of your love that comes from your heart. That's what God's looking for. God's not looking for what a big position that you have. The latest Tesla. Is the latest Tesla lined up in front of your house? That's not God's words. God's looking for this little transcendental lotus that can pop out of your heart like pung! And then, wow, I can see that lotus out of Manakrit's heart. And you understand? And then I can see the lotus in Bhava's heart. I can go and sit on that lotus. That's what Krishna is thinking. He's not like, oh, Bhava, did you miss the ingredients? The font of which was 2.2 font. The font was 2 and you missed that there was little traces of onion and garlic in there? How did you miss that? I'm going to burn you in hell forever and wake you up just to burn you more. You want to hang around with a God like that? Like how long would you tolerate that God? So this is what these lineages are giving. You understand what I'm trying to say? So that's how this is Gopi Gita. There's no difference for God's sake. Please understand, when you Jnana Chakshu, when you develop this vision, this is Gopi Gita. This is Brahmara Gita. This is Bhumi Gita. This is Rudra Gita. This is Pingala Gita. This is Bhikshu Gita. This is Bhagavad Gita. This is Anu Gita. This is Uddhava Gita. How many Gits did I give you? I can keep going on and on. So that becomes Gita. When you see the Gita, the music of life, the dance of consciousness of God, then you can get consumed in His love, in His beauty, in His pastimes. Why? Because a God is prepared to serve, give Himself, lay out His life for us just for the sake of our welfare. And then you're like, I mean, the least I can do is reciprocate by just looking at Him and say, Hare Krishna. God, Krishna is like, so nice. Thank you so much. That's what you make Krishna feel like. When you say Hare Krishna, you see in the Hare Krishna mantra, it's interesting. Hare is always circulating all around Krishna and Rama. And then you say the name and you focus on Hare sometimes more than Rama and Krishna. And then you make Krishna feel, That's Gopi Gita. That's how everything is Gopi Gita. You understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah? Okay. Maybe I'll actually read the Bhagavatam. That'll help. Okay, so I'm supposed to do 7, so I'll just quickly read this so you don't think, okay, Radhika Prasad always rips us off. He's supposed to do 2, he doesn't even complete 1. From his very birth, Utkala was fully satisfied and unattached to the world. Okay, sorry, one more thing I wanted to explain. So here, okay, this is, I want to, I bring out paradoxes. You like paradoxes? You heard of paradoxes? Paradoxes is an apparent contradiction, Manakrit. Contradiction is like Radhika Prasad always contradicts. Okay, that's contradictions. But paradoxes is something that you can explain. It looks like a contradiction, but you can explain it. So you might say, okay, wait, Radhika Prasad, okay, thanks for the ornate articulation of Gopi Gita. But what about us? We are living in a very, very terrifying world, aren't we? Yeah? I mean, I don't want to demonize the world. There's so many good things about this world, okay? So I'm not here. Please don't take my classes as demonizing the world or demonizing the science or demonizing other religions. No. That's not what my intention is. The person who made me vegetarian was a Christian. Who converted me into a fanatic vegetarian was a Christian. Can you believe that? So I don't have anything against other people, other religions, other sciences. But I just try to point out some of the extreme fanaticism in even those parts of. So you may say, okay, we are living in a very, very hostile world. Yeah. So what about little us here? Living in this world. Okay, thanks very much that Krishna lodges himself and appeals and, to all these different lineages, different times, different places. What about us? Where is Krishna appealing us? What about little us here? Trying day-to-day meeting and trying to meet our day-to-day commitments. Parents, if you are parents, then we have our commitments. And the people think, brahmacharis are just having an easy life. No. No, I don't think so. Well, we have here 2 saffrons. Am I watching for you? It's not such an easy life, is it? Keep constantly running the fidget, just rotating like fidgets, getting fiddling around. Prabhu, you're actually want to do some sadhana. Prabhu, there's something wrong in this corner of the temple. Okay, I'm reading. Can I read? Does that how sometimes you feel? Yeah. So we all have our challenges. Every ashram has Ishwara Das is nodding, big nod here. So we all have not just one ashram. Grihasthas have their problems, ladies have ladies' problems, men have men's problems, Grihasthas have Grihastha problems, brahmacharis have brahmacharis' problem. Don't get me started with sannyasis. We don't have all day. So Now we are little hours trying to just get by every day. So you may say, how is Krishna lodging in my life? In our world. I got fired. India almost losing the match. You know, my favorite actor, he started a film and it didn't even become a blockbuster. You know, we're getting by each day. Yeah, and the boss comes and he says, I want to have a chat with. That's the most dangerous word you listen on this. When the boss in the morning sends you a message that I want to meet you. Oh, ruins your day, doesn't it? Like, and if he says it's 9 o'clock, you can just get it out of the way and move on. But he says at 3:30, and you're like, 3:30, when it's coming. And it's like, you're fired. No, no, it's not so bad. I'm just saying. So you have get to be, where is Krishna lodging in our lives, in this world? We're dealing with a very hostile world. You go to education systems. The whole mission and the whole arrangement of the education system is, you can go to little primary and secondary schools. I have a young little daughter. I have two, sorry. I have like one here. The book distributor, Meera. She's the orchestrator of my book distributions. So one, we have Meera and I have Sachi, who goes to primary school. And when they're talking to me about their school, the subtle undertone in any faculty, you can take history, you can take biology, you can take chemistry, you can take physics, you can take mathematics, any literature. Obviously they're bouncing with me about how to do their assignments and literatures and things, And then when they're talking to me about these literatures, the undertone, you understand undertone? Do you understand undertone? Undertone is something you don't say, but it's said. It's like you go to meet someone and they hate you so much, they don't tell you, but in the house you know they're kicking you out. They're not making a tea. They keep reminding you of how busy their day is. And they keep saying that you just came at 9 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 5 minutes, I have an appointment with my chiropractor at 20 past 9, which means get the hell out of here. You know, it's an undertone. So the narrative, the undertone that you see in all these modern education is that your life has no meaning. It is a purposeful dashing around a dark, random universe, which is built by natural selections and choice mutations, whatever that is. And then they'll throw you these extreme probabilities of how life came from, like 0. We're talking like 164 zeros and 1, which is really a 0. Yeah. And the narrative and the undertone is that your life has no intrinsic meaning and purpose. That's the undertone. You can take sociology, you can take psychology, you can take English, history. You could be just be in a holiday. You could be just holiday. You like going holiday sometimes, just take a break, go and wander around. It's good. Yuktahara viharasya. So you go, say, you're just living around across a hotel, like, I don't know, Ritz, 4-star, Rendezvous, whatever. And through the window, you notice there's a museum across the road. And you just feel, okay, I have some couple of hours before my next engagement, like Prabhupada used to say. And then you want to go into the museum. And you're going through all these artifacts and the relics. And you're reading, they have the descriptions of the relics and the artifacts. And you read very carefully, pay attention. The description and the narrative will be, like for example, where was it? Dunedin. I like to take my children because they're working very hard with me with the books and all, like really hard, like sweating. Like it was 38 degrees on Friday and Meera was walking with me like 4 hours. Like literally sweating and oiling our makeups. Anyway, so we're out there. Why did I say that? I came into that somehow. Dunedin. So I take us out to like for little trips, and I was at Dunedin, and there's a museum I took there, this Polynesian museum, all the Pacific Islanders, and you're reading about their artifacts and how they live their life, and then they say this is how they evolved from some primates like Homo sapiens, and eventually they're making up to their way into what we moderns are. And I'm saying, why are you telling me this rubbish? I'm just here to see some indigenous people and how they were dialecting and dialoguing with the nature and living a very harmonious life. That's what I want to say. Why are you corrupting this nice relic, this nice ancient artifact where I can learn so much from the nature of book, and you corrupt with this devastating demonic narration about it? Or these are some primates, some Homo sapiens who were just bouncing like in the primordial soup of nature, and then by a random selection they just popped into some Papua New Guinea or something, and they just starting to hunters and gatherers catching fish and developing into like I was like, don't give me this. There were very, very sacred people. They had brahmanas in there. They had beautiful temples. They saw rain as a gift of Indra. They saw a maintainer Vishnu. Even if you go to the Mayapur Chandrodaya, like there are so many, there's a dome theater and there's so many, I don't know if you see, there's some theaters. So you go to these, and then they're building these stories, and I'm thinking, that story, when I saw in the theater how the Polynesians used to see the whole island and the rains as a gift of God Indra, ordained and animated by much more bigger God, like Ahura Mazda. You know Ahura Mazda, of course. So, like Ahura Mazda, like the God of rains and the God of thunders and the God of learnings. And this is a beautiful culture who had brahmanas. They had priests who had brahmanas. Even carpenters have their own brahmanas. And they are priests. And it's a horizontal system. It's not hierarchical. Such a horizontal, I'm telling you, it's such a horizontal chaturvarna, varnashrama dharma. And you taint it, contaminate it, soil it with your unnecessary, this demonic, purposeless, meaningful narrative. Your life doesn't have a purpose. Your life doesn't have a meaning. How inspiring is it to you? What's your name? Sorry, I keep... Emma. How does that sound to you? If I tell you your life has no purpose, your life has no meaning, you're just bouncing around a primordial soup. Your sentiments don't count because they're just a determined direction of your colonized genes. How does it sound? Do you have any enthusiasm to live, continue your life? Do you see what I'm saying? One day I remember my daughter came to me with an assignment, and she was reading this assignment, and he said, what's the narrative behind it? What was that she said? Speculative fiction. You have a teacher give you a book. It's a historical book. It's a very good narrative how previous generation, much more advanced than us, because at least they didn't screw this planet. The so-called our advancement is, come on. It's written on the walls everywhere. Am I exaggerating? It's written on the plain walls. We're screwing this planet. We're living like we have 9 planets at our disposal. Okay? And then we're screwing, and we call ourselves an advanced civilization. They're much more, and you read these narratives, they're much more advanced civilizations, sonic technologies, yogic technologies, mental subtle technologies, and they're not screwing the planet. And then you want to soil and taint their narratives, saying that there's some primates just hitting a female with the club, dragging in the cave, and God knows what they want to do. That's how they want. That's how the narratives are. They're not like that. It's not like that. So we have an educational system which is telling you with all the possible narratives that your life is a meaningless, purposeless, bouncing around a primordial soup of permutations and combinations trying to proceed with natural selections. How boring. And again, you have another same biologist, same university, same Oxford, same person. Obviously, you have guessed what the previous narrative was. You guessed who it is, right? By now, Mr. Dr. Hawkins, yeah? And you have from the same university, same faculty, you have the other narrative, Dennis Noble. He's saying, no, there is an organism who's shuffling its cards of the opportunities, the stochastic. Okay, sorry, before you throw things at me. Stochastic is just random choices, okay? And here you have another narrative, an organism who is shuffling its cards and choosing the correct combination so that it can put its life into order and find meaning and purpose of the organism's life. So you have the same here, same professor, same doctor, same time, same university, the kings of the university, Oxford. One guy, he says that you're just deterministic by your genes and memes, and you're just an arrow shot, and you have no determinism how you change your purpose. And you have the same, simultaneously, another professor saying, no. There's an organism in you who's shuffling its cards and choosing the right one from all the stochastic permutations available. All the millions of combinations available. And you have a meaning. You can find a purpose if you want to. And you are a conscious entity, and maybe this is just a little brief stop here through your eternal sojourn. Now you tell me honestly, please, I don't mind if you say I'm an idiot. Okay, but you tell me which narrative is more pleasing, the first or the second? How many hands up for the first? How many hands up for the second? I'm not talking about a religious guy, I'm talking about Dennis Noble. He's not even a religious guy, he's a declared atheist. I mean agnostic, not atheist, but sorry, agnostic. So you have one guy telling you a deterministic, like a bouncing ball in the soup, and then you have another guy. Okay, this is just science. I can go on and on and on and on about each faculties. History, literatures, they give you these books and they tell you that it's like speculative fiction. Like, would you be really interested to do anything to do with a book that is categorized as speculative fiction? And my daughter said none of her, so there's about 30, 40 people in us too, and she said none of the students are interested. I said, yeah. Like as if I'm going to blame them. You give these stupid books and you put them into a category of speculative fiction because why? If you say anything meaningful about this book, you're going to get cancelled. That's the problem you have. Because there's a whole culture. The sheepies following the sheepies. If you question, how dare you question that we say you are a meaningless, purposeless guy. You are a meaningless, purposeless, dumb idiot, and you question us? How dare you? This is life we are wheeling. And political system, okay, that's a joke. Okay, law, okay, bad joke. I mean, I really don't want to upset you by talking about like how hairy-fairy our political systems are. And I really don't want to start with our law and judiciaries, because I don't want to make you upset on a Sunday morning. Okay? So this is what dealing with. So now you may say, where is our Krishna lodging here? I said how Krishna is lodging in various time circumstances. Like, so where is Krishna lodging here for us? Notice very carefully. It sounds like okay, we heard this 570 trillion times, and Radhika Prasad, that's boring, but it sounds boring, but because you heard so many times. But the process is not boring. The process is so Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. So exciting, it brings new zeal, that new punch in your life every day. The Krishna has already lodged in your lives every day. And there is a name for it, and it's called Bhakti Yoga. Devotional service. And you might think, okay. Thank you for stating the obvious. But no. Watch it carefully. This is the incarnate, the Bhakti Yoga is Krishna lodging himself in your life. You just need to pay attention. When you sleep, you see a reality in your dreams, don't you? How many nightmares did we have in our lives? It looks so real. And you had to like wake up, think, God, thank God that didn't really happen. Okay, thank God I didn't see my grandfather again. No, joking. So, how many times? It looks so real, right? But when you wake up, in a split second, you can tell the difference between your dream world and this world, and in a split second, you make a decision that this is the real world. How did you do it? It's called self-evident truth. It's called self-evident reality. Swatta Prabhana. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that. So this Bhakti Yoga, this Krishna consciousness becomes Swatta Pramana, self-evident. Just as you can make a difference between the reality in the dreams and the reality when you wake up out of the dream and you're awake in life, in the same way, the life that you dealt before Krishna consciousness and the life you dealt after Krishna consciousness, if you're doing it right, consistent. If you do it right guidance, if you do it consistently, you will see the difference exactly as you see the difference between the existence of your dream world and the real world when you wake up. Just like that, you will see a difference of the world that you were living before Krishna consciousness and after Krishna consciousness, provided you're doing in the right guidance. I promise and guarantee you, you will see the difference, and the difference will be it'll be like on your face. You can't avoid it. You can poke of your finger and feel Bhakti Yoga. You can poke your finger and feel the Bhakti Yoga. You can poke the finger and peel through the veil of God's mercy and revelations on you. Why not? What's the point? Why are you wasting your time otherwise? Why are you wasting your time otherwise? If you're dealing with a God that doesn't even want to reveal to you, why are you wasting your time? But that's not what it is. You will see a tangible difference. You got to be in the right company, in the right guidance. Time, place, circumstances, design it. Is it like just, why did we come today, this morning to this? How is it feeling? Like too heavy or too okay? Okay, so before you go and ask refunds, because our Vanasaki Mata, she lost the FPOS machine. She doesn't do refunds anymore. So I'll read the second verse quickly. From his very birth, Utkala was fully satisfied and unattached to the world. He was equipoised, for he could see everything resting in the super soul and the super soul present in every heart. The symptoms and characteristics of Utkala, the son of Maharaja, are those of a Mahabhagata, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pashyati. A highly advanced devotee sees the Supreme Lord everywhere. Now, okay, how do you see God everywhere? This will be a good thing to do. Try this. I want to give you a little practice. You may already, please don't take it as a criticism. I'm sure you all are seeing God already. Because you're chanting Hare Krishna, you're seeing God already. But I just throw out a little Radhika Prasad deviations. Just joking. So, Atma upanmena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna sukham va yadiva dukkham sa yogi paramamataha. You heard this? 6.33. 6.33, I think. So, unless you actually see Krishna, God, everywhere, you will never be convinced of your eternal, blissful, conscious position as an Atma. They go together. It's not like one or the other, either or. They got to go together. You will never see yourself as an eternal, conscious, blissful entity, Satchid Ananda, unless you actually start seeing God everywhere. Now, how is this related? You want me to explain, or is this going too much, Kamsari saying? Can I need to just bring it down a little bit? We have 10 minutes, yeah, we'll do it. So, what happens is 9 o'clock, isn't it? 9? We have 10 minutes. So what happens is, usually most of us see God as an animator. That's the first thing that comes into mind, doesn't it? The animator of the world. Or the one big conscious blob, what we very lovely call Mayavadis. We have lovely names for all these people. So, one big conscious blob, or an animator of the world as the Paramatma. But this is a better way to see God than these. So, Sat is existence. Usually you see Sat as existence as a noun. But I'm going to give a little technique for you. Rather than seeing the existence as a noun, see it as an adjective. Existence-ness. Beingness. Then you can experience yourself, the beingness of your existence. Because usually when we say existence and being, we see it as a noun. But see it, please try this when you go home, without making your children think you're going crazy. See it as an adjective, existence-ness. It's your quality. It's a quality that you possess, a being. Then you'll experience your Atma. Then consciousness, knowledge, jnana. This is just like some nouns, right? Again, the same technique. See it as an adjective. Consciousness as a quality of your position, your constitutional position. So that's Sat, the Chit. When you have an existential being, when you see that as a qualia, as your quality, like red is a noun, but redness is an adjective. You understand the difference? So when you see Sat, existence, but you say that beingness, then you experience your being as Atma. Then consciousness, always trying to relate to this world. Jnanam, Gneyam, Gnana, Gamyam, Hridi, Sannisha, Vishtitam. Yeah? Gnanam, Gneyam, Gnana, Gamyam, Hridi, Sarvasya Vishtitam. Gnanam, Gneyam. Then relating to the world is the jnana, the consciousness. Again, look at it rather than noun, look at it as an adjective. That is your quality of being conscious. Then what does these two spontaneously take you to the next step? When you're existing and when you're relating as jnana, what is the spontaneous, natural next step? Yes? Very good. So the next, very good catch. Oops. So my mother used to say I make a mess. So bliss, the natural position when you have a being as an adjective, and when you're experiencing and relating in the form of jnana with this world, the natural next step spontaneously flows into seeking bliss. So bliss, you said, and Natasha is obviously, the reason I liked your answers is because it just is the sequels to what Natasha is saying. Then how do you seek bliss? By connecting to the blissful. Now you think he still remembers the words. So you have this beingness, and you have this consciousness relating as jnana, as a correlation, and relating to this world and grasping. That's Veda, Viduhu. Veda comes from Viduhu. Knowing, relating, grasping concepts, grasping categories, jnana. And the following is the next natural spontaneous step is bliss. Attractive food, beautiful people. But the only problem is we want to exploit them. That's the only problem. So if we can remove this exploitation, you are in Goloka Brindavan right now. There's no need to die to go to Goloka Brindavan. It's a myth. I'm here to break this myth. You don't need to die to become a spiritual person, or find out, like wake up after dying, oh, what is this? Oh, we call it Golok Vrindavan. Oh, why are there too many cows? No, it's not like that. It's just a natural transition while actually you are in this body. You can actually live like an Atma, experiencing your beingness, relating to the concepts and categories and grasping them as a jnana, and then naturally, spontaneously transferring and transforming, transmitting into a blissful life by connecting to the one who's actually blissful. The name Rama means blissful. So you have Krishna who's appealing, you have Rama who's responding with bliss. And then his Radha, who's got a whip in his hand for both of these, Krishna and Rama. It's a joke, okay? It's humorous. So it's Radha circulating, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. How she's encapsulating the whole program. Did you see? She's a mastermind. She doesn't miss a beat. She doesn't miss a beat. Now when you chant the Hare Krishna mantra, now looking at like the lineages that I spoke about, now how is God in our lives? Bhakti Yoga. He is incarnated as Bhakti Yoga. You understand? And then now you see how the being as an adjective, not as a noun. You're experiencing your beingness. And this all, when you're this has to be another class, but this beingness you experience, this knowledgeness, this consciousness that you're experiencing, this bliss, it is always dependent on something else. I'll need a separate class to explain that. It can never be in isolation. It doesn't work like that. You cannot exist, you cannot be conscious or blissful in isolation, disconnected with other Atmas and Paramatma. It doesn't work like that. Please understand. I can show you philosophically. I can show you categorically, theologically, logically. It doesn't work like that. You have to be in connection with like-minded bhakti yogis, connecting to a Krishna and Rama and Radharani. Then it's a nice program. Then you have some motivation. Then you have something to wake up for. How many people? You can't wake up in the morning to get up and chant and read Bhagavatam. How many people are like, you can't just wait to wake up in the morning. Like it's like in the night, like 12 o'clock, oh God, 12:30, oh God, 2 o'clock, God, 2:30, oh God, thank God, 4 o'clock. I can chant and read Bhagavatam. It's like you're alive, isn't it? Someone asked me yesterday, I was in books. Today I didn't give you any Sankirtan stories, some other time. There's some nice Sankirtan stories in relate to the subject. Anyway, we're out of time. But someone was asking me, so do you feel like what do you do in your bhakti yoga? How are you awake? I said, I was standing in front of my stall. We were somewhere in Friday and we were somewhere, was it Friday or Saturday? Yes. Anyway, I get mixed up. Maybe yesterday. How are you awake? I said, I'm awake now. I'm awake. This is how, when I'm awake, when I'm in front of my book stand, I'm awake. When you chant, you're awake. When you're reading Bhagavatam, you're awake. And she said, what is the rest of the time? I'm dead. And she said, I want to buy that book. If that makes you awake like that, yeah. And the rest of the time, I'm dead. I'm dead, I'm an ignorant fool. That's how you'll find me. When I don't have my chanting beads, when you don't have your Bhagavatam, and when I'm not standing in front of my bookstall, I'm dead, I'm ignorant, I'm a fool, I'm an idiot. You might say, Prabhu, maybe. Okay, that needs to be checked because you sometimes speaks funny even when you are holding Bhagavatam. We are awake. This is waking up. How is this for a program? You want to do Bhakti Yoga? You want to chant Hare Krishna? You want to read Bhagavatam? Let's do it. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Any questions or comments or rectifications or corrections? Or anybody? Yes, please. Ladies first, yeah? That's okay. No, Gita, no. Gita is an instruction, a song. Gita has so many meanings. Gita. Gopi Geet. Geet. Geet is instruction, song, morale, advice, opinion. So Geet is like that. Is that okay? Is someone here? Yes, sorry. Yeah. It comes with practice. Yeah, being in the like-minded people, understanding that you're working so that you can sponsor yourself a nice Bhakti Yoga life. When you have that in your mind, back of your mind, you are at work, you are doing whatever that mundane work we call. We have all these lovely terms for so whatever we call, but what happens is when you have in your mind, I'm doing this because whatever profit I get from it, I'm going to use it to sponsor myself a very fantastic, productive Bhakti Yoga life. When you have that in mind, you'll approach work in a completely different way. I promise and guarantee you, 100%. You need to have some association like Bratko, like someone you can share your heart without him or her judging you. You need to have some Bhakti Yoga friends. Yeah, like you accidentally, you don't want friends who say, oh, you woke up, 6 o'clock in the morning because you were so tired from traveling and you slept at 2 o'clock? How dare you? What an idiot you are. No, we don't want to hang around people like fanatics like that, who are like congenial, who can understand, see the overall picture. He's struggling, so let's give him a hand, kind of people. We're all struggling, so let's give him a hand, kind of. Does that make sense? Anybody, any other questions? Oh, Manakrit, yes, oh my God. I'll pay for. Guru Maharaj will be very angry if I don't answer your question. Hefty price. Very good question. Very good. I really respect your question, honestly, because it's not easy. What happens is, once we find, once we lodge ourselves into a system, normally once there are rules and regulations, and then we have to kind of form a sociology around religions or spiritual organizations, then we stuck into an institutionalization. And once you're stuck in an institutionalization, what happens is, then the institution sometimes is, it's just normal, it's nothing wrong or bad or good about it. And then we become the part of the institution, and then we have to follow the, the conventions of it. So I can understand. But what we find, there are always people, if we have the eyes, there are always friends we can find who stroke that balance between the convention and still keep going with the hunger of the taste of God. So you have to see who is striking that balance between the convention and still deviating. No, still being able to achieve that love of God. So the irony is, you have to find who is more addicted to Krishna. Although he's following the conventions or she's following the conventions, but you can clearly see their addiction for Krishna, the thread that's running through their life, their addiction for Krishna, their addiction for Radha Krishna's pastimes, their addictions for Prabhupada Krishna's emotions, their addictions for your Guru Maharaj's mission. Their addiction, you notice that addiction, and they're striking that balance. Balance is the key. And you find that person with striking that balance. There's nothing more evil than being in a good, very good, we have a good book, we have a good process, but we can't strike the right balance. Missed the opportunity. You understand? But Krishna, I promise, Krishna will give you that. I can see you have a yearning, you have that desire consuming you, and Krishna will reciprocate you. Trust me. Kauntaya pratijanihi name bhaktana pranashyati. Iti Govinda. So now that you promised Govinda, please protect me. You understand? So now that you voice this Govinda, you promise, please protect me. So Krishna is watching. He will protect your devotion service. He will nourish. He will pour that fertilizers. He will nourish. He will pour that urea and that cow manure, so that that little creeper is always. But weeding is your job. Weeding and watering is your job. You get my point? But he will. You have a desire that will be fulfilled. Om Tat Sat. Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. Thank you for coming and listening to my unnecessary blabber. So hope you all progress and with leaps and bounds in your Krishna consciousness. And I pray to Krishna that he give his little Radha's mercy to you. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Thank you, thank you. Mm, thank you.